Hi, this is Mike Hendrickson at Velocity in Barcelona. I'm here with Michael Gooding from Akamai. Michael, how you doing?
I'm doing good, thanks.
So Akamai, a lot of us know you guys as a base layer technology that if you want to have performance, you have Akamai. Is that still the case, or?
Yes, but we've expanded out on that as well. So I think traditionally we've always been what's kind of classified as a middle mile expert, giving an operational level, build a website, go to Akamai, and they'll manage the performance from there. With our latest tool sets, we're starting to move now into what's traditionally the last mile, reaching out to new communities, so developers and people like that, which is what makes this event great for us, because we're having conversations now with our user base, or people who should be our user base, about the tool sets we've got to help them build performant websites.
And so that last mile is really where you're touching the customer or starting to interact with content?
Absolutely, yeah. So we've got an FEO product, which
an FEO?
Front-end optimization,
yes,
apologies,
yes, yeah.
Which helps do three main things. One is reduce the amount of bytes that you're serving, reduce the number of requests that you make, and help speed up the rendering time. So all classic topics for a conference like this.
Yes, and it sounds like that's moving towards what's now kind of very popular as responsive design.
Absolutely. So, I mean, FEO plays quite nicely with the performance of responsive designs, but what we're generally finding with a lot of our customers is if they haven't already gone responsive, they're in the process of doing so, or potentially they're going to do it early next year. It's a hot topic at the moment, and one that I think has been driven out of the fact that one website no longer fits all, if that makes sense.
Or there's a lot of alls. There's all different devices and yeah.
Sure. So I mean, you've got device types, and I think if we take mobile as an example. I think traditionally everyone kind of saw mobile as let's build a dedicated mobile site, an M.dot as you may call it. Mm-hmm. And I think the expansion of mobile and the adoption of it came along really quickly and took a lot of people by surprise. And I think the M.dot served as a great way of someone getting something ready for that platform quickly. It was featureless, but it looked nice and it functioned well in that space. And I think as time's gone on, I think those types of sites have a couple of problems. One is they end up being a separate site, in which case your development resource now has two properties to manage and build. And the second thing I think is social media as well. So, you've probably been there, you've read an article on your phone and there's the little share button at the bottom.
Yeah.
You want to put it on your Facebook page or Twitter account. If you do that from a mobile and you've got a dedicated mobile site, you share that link to that mobile site. And if I, as one of your friends, comes along and says, oh great, what were you reading today? And I'm on a desktop, I'm going to go and click on that link and it'll take me to a mobile version of that page, and it will look quite horrendous really for me on that device. So I think there are two major trends and issues with the M.dots that are really driving the adoption of responsive web design. And
so you have a set of tools for responsive web designers or builders?
Sure. So we have lots of tools that help play in that area. And I think they're all performance related, I think. And that's where we're coming at this problem. And I think what we found is that building a responsive site solves the usability and the look and feel issue of mobile and smaller devices, but it doesn't necessarily solve the performance problem. And it kind of makes sense. If you take the example of a mobile and a tablet and a desktop, you have three versions of your website all sitting within one code base. And so naturally, those files are going to become more complex and bigger, which is going to have an impact on performance. So what we're trying to do at Akamai is move the logic or the intelligence away from the client in the person's browser and move it to the server side. So it's known as a REST solution, so it's responsive and server side. Now at Akamai, we're uniquely placed, so rather than having that logic and the intelligence on the origin server, which is a far away or a large distance away from the end user, is we're giving our customers tools to make those decisions and apply the intelligence at the edge near the end user, and therefore increasing the performance as well.
So isn't one of the problems with responsive web design the images, because there are so many different devices and what looks good on one device may not look good on another device?
Absolutely. I mean, you've hit the nail on the head. Images, they're a key hot topic. I mean, if you look at any web page today, it's about 60–70% of the volume of that web page is images, and they're not going away, because as a consumer of a website, you want images on your page. You want to be able to see what you're looking at when you're buying, if you're buying something from an e-commerce site. So With that in mind, you're right. So device type is one challenge. So different screen sizes require different sized images. Take that further and you've got screen type. So you've now got iPads with high resolution screens. So you'd like to give your users with the high resolution screen a nice high resolution image. To go even further than that, we've got different image types. So on one hand, they're now offering us better compression and maybe better performance, but if you're managing a website, it gives you a massive headache now that you've got more image types, more images to manage. And you know, our customers, quite frankly, are finding it a bit of a challenge and a headache.
So how do they deal with it?
So our customers have the option of using a tool. So we have a tool, and there are other tools out there, but our image converter tool allows users or customers to have one image. They maintain that one version of the image, and then we'll apply the intelligence on the edge around device characterization, potentially working out network conditions as well, and making that decision of what image type you should serve, and then we'll go and do the transformation for them. And then cache that image near the end user, so if anyone else comes along on a similar device, then it's already there waiting for them. So again, the management from the customer side of things is we have one image and Akamai does the rest for us.
So do you provide your partners and your developers with solutions to make a responsive web design really responsive?
Sure. So, I mean, we have lots of technologies that help in the space, and actually it's an interesting point. We're currently running workshops to bridge that gap of knowledge of, okay, here's some best practice advice around how you should optimize a responsive site, and actually here's how Akamai have tools that help you do that. So I've already mentioned Image Converter as one. I mentioned it before, I didn't say it was a product, but device characterization. So us managing a database on our edge so that when a user comes to our site, we can classify easily of what type of device it is. And then moving on from there, we have ESI, which is Edge Side Includes. So you can start making sure that if someone's on a smaller device, you only send them the content that they need, rather than sending them the whole HTML or the CSS or whatever it is that you're looking at. And I think there's those, and then there's general FEO, front-end optimization, that we talked about at the beginning as well, which applies to all websites, not just responsive.
And a lot of this is covered in Guy Pajarni's book?
Yeah, so Guy wrote a great book written for O'Reilly, and it's available on our stand if anyone wants to come and get it. And yeah, you're right. Most of this is covered in the book, and we're also taking this out on the road as well to give hands-on workshops to customers and non-customers as well, because I think there's a learning piece here around what we should be doing in the responsive world, not just with Akamai, but in general.
So a lot changes pretty quickly in this industry, and last year I think responsive became big, and hence we have a book and we have other things around it, and you have tools. If you can look forward to 12 months from now, so we're talking in Amsterdam next year, what do you think is going to be the big hot thing next year?
So we've kind of touched a little bit on the last couple of days of presentations I've been in as well, but HTTP 2 or H2 is coming. It's round the corner. I'm not expecting to see a massive overnight switch on, everyone's doing that. But I think this time next year we're going to be talking around how we optimize best for H2. At Akamai, we're currently working away hard to make sure that when the protocol is finalized, that our customers have something available to them to take advantage of it. We're focusing mainly on the position between the client and the edge, the last mile, because I think that's where most of the benefits are going to be. But I certainly think next year, this time next year, there's going to be a lot of talks around how I've adopted HTTP2 and optimizations that I've applied since doing so.
Excellent. Michael, we look forward to talking to you next year.
Excellent. Thank you very much.